How big can I get my heart to be?
Thought Media Network proudly presents
How much love can I get flowing out of me?
The Real Talk Sisters. Deep, unfiltered, soulful conversations with Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, Reverend Kim Andrews, and Reverend Melinda Wood Allen.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Join us for Real Talk on Real Issues. Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Mountain. And now, let's join the Real Talk Sisters.
How big can I get my heart to be?
Hey!
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see you.
Glad to have you back among us. This is my favorite way to do the show with all three of us here.
Exactly. I was just talking with someone earlier. I was doing her show and telling her how wonderful this is. It's just such a little comforting chit chat among friends. I love this. Yeah.
The quiet one is back.
It went back.
I'm sure you were quiet during the entire retreat. So.
Of course. They kept saying, Kim, do you have anything to say? Do you want to speak up now? And of course, the answer was no.
No.
I'm
No.
complete. I'm
just
complete. Thank
upset.
you.
Yeah.
I'm so demure. Yeah. And I still can't say it without laughing out loud. So
I know.
yeah.
Your birthday was recently. Did you celebrate? Was it there when you were at Big Sky when you came back?
When I came back, it was Friday.
Okay.
So we came back on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been at Big Sky. Yeah.
2023, it was there at Big Sky because it was longer. It was a longer.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's right.
It was
That's
nice
right.
to have my birthday at home.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting being another year older. So I turned 66, and so Quentin came in the room singing happy birthday. And my first response was, oh my God, in 4 years, I'll be 70.
Wow. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how we project out? I know. What is that? And you look great. I mean, you don't look like that at all. I don't know what you expect 66 to look like, but it's not that. It's not what you look like.
And then you just kind of ponder about the years that have gone by.
Yes. Yeah.
And yes, also when I looked at my parents, 66 looked older.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe I look just like them at 66. It's just that now I'm looking at me. So it's
right. So it's different. It's different. Yeah. I know what you mean. I know. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, it's interesting being this age. Yeah, and just wondering where the years went. And they seem to go so fast now, don't they?
They do.
Fast.
They're going faster and faster. So it's really important for me
Everything
to be
August.
everything except what, baby?
Everything except August flies by. August in Texas seems to take years.
You know what? So, now that you've mentioned that, how does it go one day? Seriously, one day it's so hot, I have to get up before the sun rises to do my walk. And the next day I go out, the sun's up. The next day, literally, and I have to put on sweats. I'm freezing. What happened? We're in the burn months.
Been out before the sun rose for the last 3 days, and I did not need sweats. I was in my shorts going, yeah!
Oh man, I was trying to walk around. I was trying to brave it, and I thought I can't do it. So I went back in. I got a sweatshirt, and came back. I said, nope, not enough. Went back and got a jacket.
Melinda has a different thermostat than we have.
Apparently so.
Thermostat. I definitely do have a different thermostat.
I would have had fleece on.
Melinda Wood Allen from I'm the senior minister at the Church of One Love in Dallas, Texas, and I'm here with my two sisters.
Yes. And I'm Reverend Dr. Pjae Stanley, and I am the spiritual leader. It's hard to say that without saying, okay. Spiritual leader of Harmony Spiritual Center in Fort Worth.
And I'm Kim Andrews, spiritual leader at Unity Saxe in Saxe, Texas. And it is good to be back. I've missed you all last week. It was different not being in our space together.
Yeah.
We missed you too. We missed you sitting there quietly, not making any comments.
Being my demure, quiet self.
We soldiered on.
We did.
Though.
We got through it.
So we started before Kim went out of town. We started a series about our walk with God is what we were calling it, right? The walk with
Yeah.
God.
Mhm.
And Pjae told us about her walk with God and what that looks like. And Kim told us about hers. And then we took a break last week and did a different topic because we wanted to be all together when we talked about this again. So
Yes.
it's my turn. And I've like thought about it, but also purposely not tried to formulate
Right.
what I was going to say
Right.
today.
Yeah.
And but you know what comes to me, and I shared this I shared this in church on Sunday. I grew up with God being important to me. And it was, and I no longer believe about God most of the things that I was taught to believe about God,
Right.
but God's importance in my life has not diminished and
I
has
love you said that. I love you said that. Exactly.
actually grown. And I grew up in a very fundamentalist religion. For those of you who are not from the South, you might not know what the Church of Christ is, but it's basically, you just go to hell for anything.
Mhm.
You, there's no instrumental music. There's no soloist. There is congregational singing. We sing hymns together, and then the preacher preaches, and then the collection plate is passed, and then the grape juice and crackers are passed around, and there's praying, and everybody's very quiet and solemn about all of it generally. And women do not speak. They don't pray. They don't usher. They don't pass the collection plate. They don't lead the singing. We're just there.
Okay.
Did you have, so was that called communion? The grape
That was
juice
called
and the
communion.
crackers?
It was called
Did you
communion.
do it every week?
We did it every week,
Okay.
every Sunday.
And we did it. I think we did it on the first. It was one Sunday a month that we did it. As I
Every week. We
recall
called it
from the
communion
Baptist.
or the Lord's Supper, and it happened every week.
Okay. Huh.
So, but we didn't do real wine. We had grape juice.
Well, no, we can't do that. Just
Because that would be sinful.
Yeah.
Probably.
But so on the one hand, it was very rigid, this idea of what was good and what was God. On the other hand, I had a mother who told us all the time, God is everywhere.
isn't that something?
And I remember being in Bible class, because we didn't have Sunday school. Even when you were a tiny kid, you sat in the pews during church,
Yeah.
and just kept quiet, or got pinched, or got taken out the back door and wailed on the porch. But we had Bible class before church, and then we sat through church. And I remember coming from my Bible class and having and we didn't call it Sunday school, we called it Bible class.
Okay. All right.
Having the little piece of paper that I had colored that had a picture of a church building with a steeple, and the caption under it was the Lord's house. It said the Lord's house. And my mother, I couldn't have been more than, because I know where we were at the time, and we didn't go to this church past the time I was 3 years old. But I remember very clearly my mother going to the Bible class teacher and saying, don't tell my child this is the Lord's house. The Lord's house is here. We are the Lord's house. We are the church. This is a building that houses the church. We are the church.
Nice.
And that made a big impression on me that, you don't need a building. We are the church. That's who we are. And so I had a mother who was at the same time sitting demurely in the service, not speaking, not praying, not doing all that stuff, but still had her own definite view of and wanted us to know. So I had that feeling that God was everywhere, and that God loved me, and that Jesus loved me. And man, when I was 12 years old, my walk with Jesus, we were like this. We were like besties. I talked to him constantly. And 12 years old was when I got baptized. It's when I got dunked. Nobody told me to. I woke up one day and went, if I'm going to have a relationship with God, I'm not going to inherit that from my parents. I have to make a decision. I have to make a decision that that's what I want. It wasn't something that just happened when you were a certain age. It's something you had to choose. And at age 12, I got real conscious of that and just chose. And I would say that though I no longer believe you have to get dunked, and Jesus does not have the same place in my life that he had. He's an amazing teacher and example,
Absolutely.
but not my
Absolutely.
savior.
Right.
Amazing teacher among many, many other teachers.
Exactly.
And not my savior, but what happened when I was 12 is that I took responsibility for my own spirituality and relationship with God. And that really hasn't changed.
It's amazing.
So fast forward a few years when I was just being a good girl in the Church of Christ, just doing everything I thought you were supposed to do, following all the rules, because Jesus knew all my thoughts and I could go to hell for my thought.
Okay.
Just
Which
as
you can't control.
action, right? Thoughts happen to us.
So was God as everywhere? Was that as loving presence, or was that you were being watched?
Both.
Oh, good question.
Both.
But both.
Okay.
That was the confusing thing is, every night before bed, we sang, Jesus loves me, this I know. But at the same time, we knew that Jesus knew every thought that went on in our heads. And so we better be careful, not only what we do, but what we think, what we say.
Wow. That's a
And
lot of pressure.
it's a lot of pressure. And
A lot of pressure.
my siblings grew up with the same message, but their reaction to that message was, yeah, whatever. I'm going to have some fun. And just because of my personality, I guess, my reaction to that message was, I better toe the mark. I'm in danger here. I got to keep my mortal soul clean. And so following those rules and being what I thought I was supposed to be, a good, virginal, let's just say I wasn't a party girl.
I understand.
And I didn't have to no to a lot of parties because people could tell from a long distance, don't even invite her. She'll be the one that battles on you. She'll be the one.
Was it the clothing? What was the giveaway?
It was all of it, honey. It was my whole demeanor. I wore the Laura Ashley dresses that I made myself out of the Laura Ashley patterns that I bought.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
As you should, as a virginal young girl.
Exactly. Exactly. I wore so much pink. Oh my God. I wore pink all the time. And I found myself as a young woman in a marriage that was really horrible.
Yeah.
Truly terrible. And with the belief that, oh, well, Jesus wants me to stay in it because that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm
married now. That's it.
I have to lie in it.
Yeah.
And I remember a particularly low point. And by this time, I had already started singing at a Unity church. I started there in 1987. So I was starting to hear messages of a God that was more forgiving and that was bigger and more open.
Nice.
And I was on the phone with a friend, and I didn't share my spirituality with my husband because he mocked it. Wasn't.
Oh.
And but I was on the phone with a friend who had literally had brain cancer. And I told her, Chris, I am praying for you. I am praying for you. And I will be praying for you. And I hung up the phone and he said, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. Like, you really pray. And I was like, you have no idea. You don't
What are you talking about?
You don't
know me at all.
At all.
Wow. Isn't
really
it funny, the little things that wake you up?
Yeah.
That's actually a little statement.
Right.
But it woke you up.
It woke me up. Along with some other things. And not too long after that, probably a year later, I became pregnant. And I think I've already shared this before, that my daughter was my introduction to the God of absolute, complete, unconditional love. Because I knew that that's what I had for her when she was just a zygote, you know what this thing was. As far as I knew, she was just a pink plus on a pregnancy test.
And yet the love was there immediately.
Nothing that this being will ever do,
ever
could do,
ever, including walking up and shooting you in the head. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Nothing
this being could do that will make me go, last chance. Sorry, that was your last chance. Over now. Whoops. It's been nice. I do love you.
Beautiful wake up call when you realize that.
It was absolutely beautiful. And really, my thought process. Here's my thought process. I will not worship a God who is pettier than I am.
Okay. What's the point of that?
Right.
What's the point of that? That makes no
If
sense.
God can't forgive as much as I can forgive, and I know all the places that I'm unforgiving, if God can't forgive at least as much as me, then what kind of God is that?
What are we doing?
And
I
that
could
is
be the God if that's the case.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's not, and so I just decided that day, that's not God. If it's not love, if it's not unconditional, eternal love, then it's not God. And I don't have to pay attention to that anymore. And I'm not going to.
Huh.
Now, I would
Beautiful.
like to say
That is fantastic.
that all of the programming of the first 25 years of my life just dissipated.
Yeah.
But it, it didn't. It took
some time.
It took some time, and it took some
Yeah.
work. It took some effort, and it took a lot of thinking and a lot of studying and a lot of reading and a lot of being around people with broad minds. And and for me, reading Emily Cady,
She was my first Unity
transformational. Book. Me too. My first
real Unity book. I loved her. Still do.
Lessons in Truth, and the fact that she used the Bible, to illustrate what she was saying was helpful to me. Now I don't need the Bible to prove anything to me. But then then that had been taught to me as my highest authority. Now I really realize that's the whole thing about Christianity. It has nothing to do with Christ. They're worshiping a book,
right?
Multi-thousand-year-old book written by a whole bunch of old white men.
Hello, that's interpreted by anybody any way they see it. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
It's really quite remarkable.
So I don't need that anymore. It's a nice illustration. There's some poetry. There's some passion.
There's some things in there that I can relate to, and I can say, okay, this is what this means to me. This is what this passage means.
Exactly. So I don't need that anymore. And my God has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And at the same time, is still very personal in the way that Jesus was very personal to me. And I think for a while I lost that. I got lost in God is this big law, not
down here at my level.
I can call on, but law. And now God's whatever I need God to be at this minute.
Exactly.
If I need God to be my best friend, if I need God to be in the passenger seat, if I need God to be in the driver's seat, I just say, just the other night, I was doing something and I thought, I just don't know if I can do this. And I thought, well, maybe you can't. So say help. And I just went, help. If you want me to do this, I'm going to need help.
That's such just a quick prayer. Help. That's all you need. Because Spirit knows what you're talking about, what you need help with.
Exactly. Help. And it went well. So I got help, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's whatever I need God to be today. Immanent and transcendent is the way Charles Fillmore put it, that God is in here. Absolutely. This is that part of me that is always the observer, that is the witness to this human part of me. And loving and nurturing this human part of me and forgiving this human part of me.
And that knows. It's the part of you that knows.
Way big out there. And the way I think of it is I'm a wave. I'm not the whole ocean. But as a wave, I am 100% pure, nothing but ocean.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
So, my walk these days is whatever I need it to be. And it's prayer, and it's quick prayers, and it's time in meditation, and it's God with skin on. It's calling on you. It's paying attention to the other people in my life and the wisdom that comes from them that I know is God given.
Right.
It comes from books, and when I see truth, I know it's truth.
It rings. It resonates.
It rings. It resonates. I know it's truth. And if it's truth, it's God. And if it's not truth, if there's any possible way it can be untrue, then it's not God. It just, I'm just so clear these days. And y'all know it's my personal jam. I mean, the tagline for my church is many paths, one spirit. I believe there are as many paths as there are human beings.
There has to be
their own path.
There has to be.
But I revere the teachers from the Sufi traditions. I revere the the teachers from the Buddhist traditions, from the Taoist traditions. I love to read that source material. I love to read commentary on that source material. I love to read memoir. I love to read. Let's just put it that
Well,
way.
you know, just
But
everyone that's been on that path, you resonate with their experience and truth.
and
You
so
know
my
they've been on the path. You know that.
going, there it is. There it is. There's truth. It's right there.
Yes.
It's that. And in over here, it's described completely differently, but it's the same
It's
truth.
the same.
And over here, they're using a different story, but it's the same story. It's a story
Yes.
illustrating the same truth. And I
Right.
get excited about that stuff.
I know.
It's
I
my
know.
jam.
Yeah.
And
It is exciting.
it is. It's exciting.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So my walk today is since God, there's a saying in 12 step, and I had a lot of help from 12 step finding my path to
Yeah.
my walk
Yeah.
with God. And I'll
It's a
talk
good.
about
It's a
that
good group.
a break, because it's time for a break.
Yes. You want to when you come back?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll take a break.
See you in a
Yeah.
Hey, we're back. About my path with God, and it was just saying before the break in 12 step, this phrase "God of your understanding" was given to me right about the time that all that happened. This was like 1987, 88, 89. Those very pivotal moments in my life, and this idea of a God of my understanding, that I was permitted to have my own understanding of God, that I didn't have to accept someone else's understanding of God, was huge to me.
Yes.
That helped open the way as well. And there's a saying in 12 step, God is everything or God is nothing. You can't say, oh, God's going to take care of it some of the time.
Right.
Or, God's got it this week. Or God can handle this thing, but not this thing. God is everything or God is nothing. And I make the choice on a daily basis that God is everything. And so I can call on God wherever I am and whatever I need it to be.
Yes.
Literally, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
And confidently expect support, answers, just confidently expect it. I call on God, I pray, whatever it is, and I confidently expect great things to happen, information to come my way. Confidently expect
all of
it.
that, but I don't expect for my wishes to come true.
All right.
And that's a different, and that's
Yeah, tell us about that. What does that mean?
That means I know that I can only see things from a human perspective.
Okay.
And so when I call on God, I give it a lot of space. I don't say I want this specific thing. And I know a lot of people in New Thought get very, very specific about what they want. And it's something I never really have done, which is not to say I haven't had some strong desires. And I make my desires known when I do. But generally, I'm real cool with saying, let this be the way it's supposed to be. And, allow me to receive it in the way that will most help me.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. It absolutely does, because it's like this or better is one of those things that we say, but a lot of times, you don't know what needs to come your way. You know something. You need something, and not really clear. And so I just leave it to God. I say, what's on my heart. You know what the problem is. Show me the way.
Yeah.
And that's plenty. Sometimes I do know what I want. Sometimes I do know I need this, I need that, I'd like you to bring this, that, the other thing. And sometimes I just know there's a feeling here, it's not right. I don't know, or something's not right. I don't know what I need, but you do. So I'm confidently expecting you to show me the way, whatever needs to happen here. And just I'm open to that.
And sometimes I think, I may think I know what I need. I
Right.
certainly know what I want,
Yes.
but I'm willing to take a step back from that and go,
That's right.
but you
Okay.
know me better than I know me even.
Yeah.
And what I know is that in this human life, having a close walk with God and even using denials and affirmations and staying close and believing and praying, expecting, and all of those things doesn't mean that we can order the world the way we want the world to be ordered from a human perspective.
Okay.
In my view.
No, I got you.
So there are disappointments. There are losses. If anybody could have prayed away some of the losses I've had in my life, they wouldn't have happened because no one could have prayed harder than I did. Please don't, not this. Let this cup pass from me,
Right. Right.
And yet it didn't. And so I had to assume, I made the choice to assume that this was the cup that was mine. So what is in this cup for me?
Right.
That's
a great question.
How do I,
That's a great question.
how do I drink it? How do I accept it? How do I learn from it? How will it help me grow? How will it inform me from this day forward?
Yeah.
And that's a big part of my walk, is not trying to boss God around, but really giving a lot of space for God to tell me what to do.
So and I hear you on all of that, and I absolutely get that. There are just things that I'm just not clear about, but I'm okay with being clear, and saying this is what I want, and this is where I'm at this point, and I want more of this. I know within myself that I've been putting a limiter on some things in my life, and I want to release the limiter and let more come, more abundance, whatever it might be. And then there are times when I just know, like I said earlier, I know I want more. I want something. Not sure what needs to come this way, what that would look like. I don't know what that looks like. So I'm open to what it looks like. And there are some things that I know. My purpose here on this planet is to be of service in this way, to use this gift that I have. And we have so many gifts. So sometimes I use one gift at a time, and then I'm like, okay, that's nice. But now there's something else that's happening. That's another gift that I have that I'd like for that to grow. Mm-hmm. And so I still got this one, but this is the focus over here. This is where my heart's at. For whatever reason, I'm seeing something bigger and a bigger need, to serve from this end. So that, so it doesn't say what you're saying is right or wrong, or what I'm saying is right or wrong. It's just a difference in how we are approaching how we want our relationship with Spirit to be. And I think we get to say that. We get to say that this is how I want to talk to you. This is how I want to understand. Because we're so, as you said earlier, each one of us are so individualized. Mm-hmm. Each one of us has a different understanding, and we can say, "This is how I feel. I know you the best is by doing this way, or approaching or having this relationship with you at this time, and I'm open for the evolution of that."
Yeah,
because it has to evolve. It has to evolve. You're evolving as a human being from a child to a teen to an adult to an older adult. I mean, we're so clearly. Hopefully, our understanding and relationship with Spirit is also evolving and becoming something more, something
Thank
great.
God. Thank God.
Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord.
And yet, I think, Melinda, because obviously the three of us have a different perspective in how the world is ordered.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And all of that inextricably linked and in concert with God and the God presence. Yes. And so if all three of us do, then all 8 billion of us do, like you said, there could be 8 billion understandings of God. And so I think in a world of unlimited possibility,
Mm.
We are each ordering the world the way we see the world.
Yes.
It's all happening, and this God presence holds all of that.
All of it.
Yes.
All of
Yes.
that. And that, I think, is the kind of stuff that like brings goosebumps on me, or I go, oh my gosh. So we
Yes.
can all travel through the world the way we see it. And it's all in this container called consciousness, which for me is God. And the fact that that can happen is mind blowing.
Yes.
It's mind boggling.
Blowing. And so none of us is wrong.
No, no.
We're
No.
just in this world creating our reality and our experience and having this understanding of God all on our own. And yeah, 8 billion of us have done it. It's been done from time when time first began.
Yes.
And it will always be. And it's all in this container. And
It is.
It's like
It is.
art. You know, you can be very dedicated to your art and never sing a note because your art is made with color,
Right.
canvas,
yeah.
Right.
or
Right.
your art is made, you know,
Is writing with words.
it's not less art because it happens
It's not-
in a paper or on a computer or on a canvas or ethereally in the air.
Yes. Or all these things that are going on right now online on the computer, the things that people are generating and creating. Like, how did they think of that? How is that happening? And the mind's just going and going and going and creating. You know, I love it.
And
I
so
love it.
to say God is this one thing would be like to say, no, here's what creativity is, or here's
Right.
what art means,
Right.
which by
Right.
the way, was the death knell for my daughter when when we were looking for high school for her first year. She went to a Catholic high school and she got into her art class, and the person leading the art class had this list. This is what art is, and this is what art isn't.
Oh, my stars. Are you kidding
Now
me?
y'all know my daughter. You've met her. She was like, nuh-uh.
How old was she then?
No.
How old was she?
She was 14.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like, no, we're not going to do well. No, we're not going to do well here.
That's not going to work out.
This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work.
I love Erin.
I
But
can see it
that's why-
right now.
Anybody who says this is who God is, the moment you say that, you're wrong.
You're
or the
completely
moment
wrong.
you say that, you've put it in a box. You've limited it.
You've limited. You put it in a human box. Yeah.
And yet, how many people walk around saying your understanding of God is wrong?
Is wrong. Yeah.
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 And
It's
you're
amazing.
either going to burn in hell or something else is going to happen.
Yeah.
Just interesting what we do. Yeah.
It is.
Oh.
It's just so interesting.
I had an experience in my, gosh, how old was I? I was probably right around 30. No, it was closer to 40. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I was well along in my spiritual path, and my husband and I lost a friend in a horrible, tragic catastrophe. Him and his 9-year-old daughter. And for about a year, I was so mad at God. I was so mad at God
Yeah.
because there's no way I could go, he's in a better place. I'm like, bullshit.
Yeah.
This
Nonsense.
this earth is not better without having him. He
Yeah.
and she had so much to bring and so much yet to give. And nothing would make me believe that it was a good thing that they were gone, for them or for us. Maybe for them,
Right.
but definitely not for us. Definitely not for this world. And I was very confused because here I am working full time at a church, singing about God every week, talking to people about God every week. And I'm going, I don't even know if I believe in you anymore. I'm saying that.
Yeah.
But what had to happen for me is I had to have something to believe in. And I gave myself permission. If you still feel like this in a few months, then you're going to have to quit. You know, you're not going to keep doing this.
Can't be a hypocrite. You know,
Yeah.
just can't be a hypocrite. Yeah.
But my working definition was that I came to that I could live with complete comfort in came when I wrote a letter to his parents saying, I have no idea. I got nothing to say to comfort you. I got I got nothing. This is devastating any way I can look at it. The only thing I can say is his love is not gone.
Mm.
That love is still here. I can feel it every day.
That's beautiful.
And realizing that love is the thing that lasts. Love is the intangible that is so tangible that it's tied up in everything. And I decided that year, I will believe in love. I don't have to believe in God, but I will believe in the power and energy of love.
Mm.
And man, that worked so well for me that
Beautiful.
I never have stopped missing him to this day. But I was healed. My relationship with God was healed before a year had passed, right around a year. And the way it got healed is I realized that love is God.
There you have it.
There's no way to separate that. And it really made me go, God is not some being that's granting or not granting favors. God is love itself. And that works for me. If I believe that God is love itself, then I can call on love. I don't care where I am, what I'm doing. I know I won't be shamed. I know I won't be judged. I might not understand, but love is always at my beck and call. I can always call on it, and it always makes things better. And it's the only power that can overcome a whole lot of bad stuff that goes down.
Yeah. No, I got you. I love that point. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And interesting that even at a time when you weren't sure that you still loved God and were angry, that you felt love in return, that you felt that you were loved, even though you were questioning your love.
Yeah.
And I think that can be poignant for people, that I can be angry and yet there is this presence that is here that has not left me, that did not say, oh, well, if you're not sure about me, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Which often happens in life, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It does. It does. Because
love is
we give it all these,
transactional.
absolutely, transactional, right. And we give it all this human stuff.
God's got big shoulders.
Yeah.
You can rail, you can curse, you can scream, you can walk away, you can turn your back. That didn't hurt God.
No,
And I've heard people say, I had to make an amends to God, or I had to tell God I'm sorry. It's like, no, you don't.
No, you have to tell yourself that. You have to forgive yourself. That's what that's about. It's not about God. It's about yourself.
You can make amends to yourself for turning away
to yourself.
God,
Yes, that's about you.
Separate yourself.
God never leaves.
No.
And I remember my first marriage. We were just too young. We were too young, and then he went down a bad path, and so it got physically abusive and all of that. And I was trying to figure out, because I was fundamental at the time, and I was trying to figure out, what do I do? I stay, because you're married for life, and how do you.
Yeah.
And I went to my minister and was talking about that and what was going on, and he said, no, you can't. God will be mad at you. You can't divorce. And what? I'm sorry. So I was supposed to just stay here and get my ass whooped every day? Is that it? Well, if that's the case, since I went back and I just talked to God, and I said, well, if that's the case, fuck you.
Yeah.
I can't help you. No, I can't. And I turned my back, because if this is what it takes, these are the rules, and you don't care anything about me.
Exactly.
Well, why would I care about you? Why would I care about you? I honestly don't know when I realized that was nonsense.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long after that, but I realized it was just nonsense. That was just that minister, and
there was
him.
That
I don't know.
There was that within you that absolutely knew that
Yeah, I knew that
wasn't God.
That is not it. That can't be true. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm gonna let that go. And then that was when I started looking for, and it was really interesting. I didn't realize that it was an oxymoron, but I was looking for a more open fundamental church. More. It never occurred to me to step outside that religion. Never.
Yeah.
Jason, I have to comment. Jason is the one that said, "Why do you keep looking inside that church? Why don't you look outside?" What? Oh, well, I don't know how to do that. Do you? He goes, yeah, there's the yellow pages. Let's just. let's just look at the yellow pages and start going. That's how we did it. That's how we ended up in a New Thought church. Because I needed something. I needed to be close to God, do my work, in the church and things like that. But I had no place to do it because every fundamental church more progressive. That's what I was looking for, a progressive fundamental church. I'm like, that's oxymoron, girlfriend. It's not happening. But it took me years to get that. And finally, Jason said, "Listen, I'm sick of you dragging me to these churches, and I want to go too. So let me do it." And I said, "Yeah, you do it. I'll follow you." And
Got in the yellow pages.
Got into. He would. Hey. He's like, "Hey, there's got to be a reference about this. Let's just look at the yellow pages, shall we?"
Well, it's time for a break, so we can talk some more about that when we come back. God in the yellow pages.
God in the yellow pages. That might be a song.
Now you have to Google God. You're back.
Yes.
So in case there's anybody in our audience that doesn't know what the yellow pages are, the yellow pages was the book of Google.
It was a Google Bible
book that you could look up things in. You could look up the phone number of whatever you wanted to find.
Yeah. You looked it up by organizations as opposed to people, churches, auto repair, whatever. So you looked it up by.
There were also people the people were in the white pages.
People were in the white pages. Businesses were in the yellow pages.
Mm-hmm. But it was and every year they drop both books.
Yep.
Footsteps.
Got a brand new book every year.
Year.
Google's updated every nanosecond.
You're not kidding. Every time I go to get on Google, it says it right here to refresh the page. Didn't I just refresh this page? How many times I got to What are you doing?
You are a new being in Christ.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. We're getting refreshed all the time.
All the time.
I want
to push that Control Z. We can't do that. We could just refresh and move forward.
Refresh again.
That's it. Yeah. So this can't be it. So let's get a new thought going on here. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's just so interesting how, and I think I was going to say so interesting how we come to know God, how we come to it, and it has to do with the fact that you desire to do it. There's something in you that says there's something I'm missing. This what I know can't be all it, and it's constantly updating your thoughts and things that are. There's things within us that certainly as you change relationships or you're going to a different area or whatever, you have an opportunity to see what are the things that you believe that you don't even remember, you don't even know that you believe that, and it shows up by the way that you're showing up, or by the way you're limited by something, and you know what I mean, and that tells you there's a belief in there that's not working for you. What is that? Is that yours? So you get to identify and look and say, which to me is very powerful. It's not only is it God, which it is, but it's you saying that you want more, that you want the work. So you get to ask yourself the question, if you want more, whatever more looks like, whatever area you're talking about, what's stopping you from having more? What's in you? What's in you that says you can't have more? Because God is all. God is abundant. God wants you to have everything you want. So if you don't have it, what's the stopper? What's stopping you? It's you. So, or some thoughts you have, or some thought that was put upon you, or some collective consciousness, or some consciousness from your parents, who knows, or your teacher. That teacher, if your daughter, Erin, had believed that nonsense about that teacher, can you believe the kids in that class that believe that teacher, that has that list in their head? What a
limiting life.
Oh my stars. How many kids have you wrecked with that nonsense? Oh my God.
But how many kids in that class, there's a lot like this in life. where we don't even think to question
Yeah.
Yes.
something
Yes.
we're given, and you just accept it and you walk forward. And I think sometimes it does take a moment where you hear something, you go, wait a minute,
Hang on.
I don't think that's true, or, you know, just kind of hits you in the wrong way. And then
Yeah.
you either move towards something, you shift a little bit, and you expand your understanding of God or whatever is happening in the moment, or
Right.
creativity, like the case of Aaron's class. And then you say, oh, all right, well, that doesn't sit right. So obviously I have to devise my own
Yeah.
understanding and
Yes.
something that works for me. And yet there's so many people who that would go over their head, and they would just say, oh, okay, creativity is not this, creativity is this.
Yes.
And never,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are not thinking. A lot of people are just, well, a lot of people are just sheep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wherever you lead me, I'll go. And
Yeah.
yet that might work for them.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is that I don't think that what we're talking about and what we're discussing is not about shame or blame or right or wrong. It's what is. It's what is. And when you are wanting to, if you're okay with where you are, you're okay with where you are. I'm okay with where I am right now. I'm not asking any more questions other than to make sure that I know that what I'm talking about is me talking and not something that's put on me. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm not in the learning phase. But when you that whole thing about when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That is the case. So wherever you are is okay. And if you want something more, the teacher will appear. Whatever the teacher looks like, it will appear, and you'll hear something different. And it's okay. Everybody, to me, you're okay where you are. If you're okay with it, I'm definitely okay with it, and I'm okay with where I am.
And it has to do with, you know, where your focus is, where your attention is in life. You know, maybe there were kids in that room who are math geniuses and they just don't give a flip
Fly.
anything
They
artistic.
don't care.
I
So
think
they don't think about it.
struck Erin is because it struck her where she lives. She lives in her creative heart.
Yes.
So it just and it was a gift to her. I mean, she would have preferred to have the gift of an art teacher that she could believe in and have a good time with.
Sure.
But it was a gift that at age 14, when she hadn't had to ever before, she got really clear about how open her view of art and creativity is. And I don't know if anybody had asked her at age 13, so what's your view of art and creativity? She would have like,
What do you mean?
I don't know.
What?
But having that,
I know what it's not.
but yeah, when she heard that voice, she was like, well, I know it's not that. And that created a space for her to have to decide for herself.
Right.
What is this?
Right.
What is important to me? Do I listen to this, or do I listen to my inner voice?
Yes. Yeah. What moves me?
Those gifts throughout our life. And oftentimes they're not the person that says, you're exactly right, you're on the right track. Often they're the person that tells us something that we go, nuh-uh.
Right. Throws you right back. Throws your head back. Like, sorry, what?
So much of the time. So thank you, God, for all of those people saying nuh-uh, or all of those people, you know, pushing our buttons and pressing our triggers and telling us the opposite of what our guts tell us is true.
Absolutely.
They're here for our good too.
Yeah. And so, you know, back to the thing we were talking when we first got on, you know, about, I'm not sure how we were phrasing it, but for me, the bottom line is that I show up as who I am, and I'm okay with it. And if someone's offended by something I'm saying or doing, I don't take that on, because for me, that's about them having some work to do. But, you know, it's not about, I mean, I am who I am. They are who they are. And I look at it for me too. If I'm offended or someone says something that bothers me, that's an opportunity for me to look at myself and go, what about that? What about that bothers you? What's in you? It's you know, everything, it depends on how you want to look at life. But whatever happens, for me, I feel like it's an opportunity for me to do something, to grow, to say yes to something, to say, oh, no, definitely don't want to take anything like that on. Whatever, to keep defining myself and what matters to me and what doesn't, you know? So it's all good. I just love that everybody shows up the way they show up. It all works. It all works for the good, I think.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts.
What
Well,
else about your walk with God?
what else about my walk with God? What else?
What's your daily thing that you do? What's your daily thing that you do when you walk with God? Or is there one? Is there?
There is. I get up in the morning. I pour libations. That is for me, pouring my first cup of coffee is a spiritual act because I make it one, because I decide it's sacred.
There you go.
I read from spiritual literature. I read some things to spark ideas and creativity in me, and I read some things to simply inspire myself. I journal. Sometimes my journaling takes the form of I ask God questions, and sometimes then I answer from the God chair. I pray. I spend some time in silence, and I try to carry on that whole thing, begin and end it, and all the way through with an attitude of gratitude that it's sacred that I'm even able to do this, and I'm grateful.
Yes.
And then I have this thing that I do when I walk, and I don't always, sometimes I walk in the afternoon, sometimes I walk in the morning. I'm definitely walking in the morning the last month or two because it's been so hot. And I do this thing when I walk, not every time, but often, to help make my walk a prayer, as I just repeat this mantra: reveal yourself to me. Reveal yourself to me. And what I noticed that just by doing that, my attention gets focused on the beauty that's around me, and also that creative ideas well up within me. And since I've asked for God to reveal itself to me, then what's revealed is God. And I take it as that.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. We get what we ask for. So you get to see God in so many different iterations when you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I love it. Definitely.
Yeah, it is nice, I think, and nice isn't the best word for it, when we are able to see God in and through a myriad of things. Where we walk, as we walk, in others, other people, like you said, God with skin, God with fur, our pets.
Yes.
Yeah, in nature. And sometimes in fact, I may ask more often, because it's easy to find it in beauty. But if something's happening, if there's something chaotic, or if I'm driving through an area that's all concrete and it's not as beautiful, there's not a lot of beautiful trees or whatever it is, that I find God even in there.
Even in there.
If there are, say, I'm driving through an area where there are a lot of homeless people, do I find God here?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
And see God in them? Are they still God with skin? And so I test myself now, especially when my buttons get pushed, and I think, where is God showing up here? And that takes then my buttons aren't pushed anymore, because I think, oh, God is here now.
Yes.
Especially with people. Stuff gets under my craw, and I think, I'm having a hard time with this. And yet I remind myself that they are also a wave in this ocean. And they're in this ocean just like I am. And can I allow myself to see that? Will I allow myself to see it and be okay with it? And I've always gotten to yes, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time. I need to strip away the judgment I'm having in the moment.
Yes.
And accept that, yes, they are also a wave in this ocean.
Because we have to understand, if we can't see God, the flaw is in our eyes, not in
not in what we're looking at. No.
It's in the projector, not the projection.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And Yeah, just we were talking about when you brought up Kim, just making sure how do I see God in all the things that I'm looking at and this and that, and I go pick up Jim Cobalt on Sunday morning. He lives across from or right next to that the Union something where they're it's right under the bridge at the 30. So there's a lot of homeless under there, and then there's a big building where they all and it's got a big opening front part, so there's a lot of homeless there and just big spaces on the street. And if you look inside the community, if you're not just looking at them as you pass by, if you're just looking at the movement that they're doing, a lot of them are helping each other. They're showing each other things. They're saying you can see it. You can see that they're doing that. So the love is there, even though it's not how I want to live. It's how they choose to live. And maybe it's not a choice. Maybe they just, I don't know why they're there. I know for my brother, it was a choice. It was something he just did not want to be in the house. And we had several men in my life, my uncles and a couple of other, three or four guys in our family that didn't want to be in the family thing all the time and would live on the streets. And then when they would get tired, or we get tired of them being on the streets, we drag them back in and they stay for a little while and all of that. So it's just about being able to see that their journey is their journey. It's their journey it's their walk with God, whether they see that or not, it is what that is. And for us to be able, for those of us who claim that we want to know God and we're looking for God and we see God and all those things, and we see God in that, in everything that there is, not just the beautiful birds and the ocean waves, but in the things that we could tell a story about. That's what I wanted to say earlier. That you look at stuff and
ourselves about it.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Don't know anything and just making up stories all the time. I feel myself, stop that. You don't know what story is this? Maybe you should write a book because you're such a good storyteller. You're just making up stuff.
Just making up stuff, right?
Making up stuff.
I was talking about that with my husband the other day. That I'm driving. All the highways around me are under construction. And even the places that I used to drive all the time and I know all the landmarks, I can't see the landmarks anymore because there's concrete walls all around. All I see is concrete walls. I don't even know where I am anymore unless I read the name of the exit sign.
Exactly. If it's even clear. Yeah.
And there is this in me that's going, it's just getting uglier and uglier and uglier. And I think of one of the greatest gifts I ever got. One of my teachers at seminary was a Native American man who spoke and taught and wrote eloquently on his religion, which was very close to nature, very nature centered. And he lived in New York City.
Ooh, where's that coming from?
Raised my hand and said, how do you do that?
Where? Yeah.
Because I can only be in this city for a few days and I got to get the heck out of here. And he very simply said this phrase, these are my canyons. Are the rocks less rock because we've shaped them as bricks? Are the stones not stone anymore?
Wow.
And it was just like, whoosh.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing to truly destroy God's world. Can we believe that? Now we may destroy our habitat so that we are no longer in our human incarnation able to live on it anymore. And we're forcing other beings off of it. But is it possible to actually destroy what God made?
Exactly.
Maybe that's our closing note because it is 2:58 and some seconds.
Okay, then.
9.
Yeah.
I think that is a great note to
It's a beautiful note.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Opinions. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. That's a great. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're very glad for everybody who's joined us. Please join us again. We've got, we love to be with you.
Thank you to our fabulous producer.
Zoe, thank you so much, honey. We couldn't do this without you. Wouldn't do this without you.
Got that right. And scene.
Well,